In a world where...
Is this thing on?
Barely.
This episode of the Just John podcast is brought to you by two of the most amazing patrons on the planet, and the random fact that the female kangaroo has 3 vaginas. What up, homies? I'm your host, John Medina, and this, my fine ladies and gentlemen, is the Just John podcast, episode 25, for the week of February 13th. Today on the show, Facebook knows what we care about, RIP Twitter, my take on the Super Bowl ads, and much more.
The local news of the week.
Facebook knows what we like. Earlier this week, Facebook released what they call their audience optimization tool. This tool provides over 282,000 listings of things that Facebook believes that us, its users, are interested in. Facebook designed these tools so that publishers could target audiences for their Facebook posts in the same way that advertisers do. I've picked out a few of the top 2001 because if you go download that list, it will take you a god-awful amount of time to even begin to try to scroll to the bottom. So I went through some of the top ones and found a few that I wanted to pick out. The top 10 are Facebook, of course, technology, entertainment, consumer electronics, shopping and fashion, sports, social networks, mobile phones, music, and computers. Number 32 on the list is life. I'm glad to know that things like Facebook are more important than life, apparently. According to Facebook, at least. Number 33 is friendship. 500 is shooter games. 501 is mythology. Number 1008 is Jackie Chan. 1009 is Supernatural, which is a freaking fantastic show. Should be higher than 1009. And 1010 is Netflix. I'm kind of confused as to why Netflix is so low on the list, especially with Netflix and chill being so popular. You'd think people would have mentioned it enough times that Facebook's algorithm or whatever it uses to choose these options would have put it closer to the top of the list. The top 2000 round out with number 2000 being whiskey and number 2001 being tequila. This list is pretty interesting, and as you start scrolling deeper and deeper into the list, the things that people find interesting are less and less relevant to at least me personally, and a little more weird, honestly. A lot of the things that were deep in the list were just completely off-ball things that I wouldn't even think that people would really talk about that much, but I guess they talked about it enough for it to be on the list. Now, the top one on the list had a score of 1,466,365,990. All the remaining options were lower than that number, going down to the last one in my list, which was 2001. Tequila had a value of 43,057,275. So we can see that even in 2000, the number drops heavily. Now, I didn't get to the bottom of the list, if you want me to be completely honest, so I can't tell you what the last value was, but if you feel brave enough, you can go download it and spend 35 minutes trying to scroll down to the bottom of the list.
Allow myself to introduce myself.
The LTE data service in the United States is slow. Now, when you talk to your friends, your family, coworkers, or whatever, and they say that their phone's running slow, their internet's running slow, and you're like, oh, it seems like everybody's is, but really it's not that slow. Well, I have news for you. It's that slow. Small developed nations like South Korea and Hong Kong provide complete coverage and fast speeds because they are so small. Poorer countries with large populations have trouble even providing enough signal to even get a phone call out. However, countries that are big and rich, like America, tend to get something in between. We're so big that we can't have the full coverage and amazing speeds that the smaller rich countries are, but we're not so poor that we can't provide basic coverage to the entire country. The company OpenSignal earlier this week released their worldwide report for the Q4 2015 network speeds. So it stacks America against the rest of the globe. The US is actually slipping behind the rest of the world when it comes to download speeds. We have an average of 10 megabytes per second, ranking it 55th in the world. It does much better when it comes to coverage. Actually, subscribers get LTE like 81% of the time, which isn't that bad. It's like the 7th best in the world. But what America is suffering from is called first mover disadvantage. So basically what this is we did it first. Our technology is older. It's bogged down by so many users because they've had so much time to adopt it. It's not as fast by default as some of the other services, and it would take a lot of time and money to boost it back up to comparing to some of the other countries. As I said before, the average speed is 10 megabytes per second. For some context, the average download speeds on an LTE network are 13.5 megabytes per second. At the top of the list, we've got Singapore, which is offering the fastest networks with download speeds as quick as 40 megabytes per second. And at the bottom, we've got Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Costa Rica tying at 3 megabytes per second. So while we're not the worst, we're definitely not the best. I mean, 40 megabytes per second, Singapore. Holy cow. That is almost as fast as my cable internet connection service here at my house. That's just insane. I couldn't imagine if my phone internet ran that fast. To be honest, we probably won't see speeds like that in the US until 5G comes out. And it's just going to be another excuse for them to say, oh, this is so much better and we're going to charge you so much more money, even though countries like Singapore and Japan have it already and have had it for years.
Hello, I'm Bill Nye. You may know me from such things as science.
There's a change.org petition out there for almost everything. If you go and look hard enough, you're going to find a petition for pretty much anything that you want to find. I stumbled across a petition this last week that wanted to make it illegal and classed as discrimination to not hire someone based on hair color, haircut, tattoos, or piercings. The petition goes on to say that someone's hair color, style, or body mods do not reflect who they are as a person, their capabilities, or what they will be like as an employee. Most places will not hire you if you have hair color that looks unnatural, a haircut considered extreme like a mohawk or a man with long hair, or if you have visible piercings or tattoos. Why? For no other reason than it is unappealing to many people and because some people assume that people that look like that are degenerates or delinquents with bad morals. That is discrimination. An obese person may not be appealing to many people, but that would be discrimination, and to not hire them for that reason. One may argue that customers won't shop where a person who has tattoos or piercings works. Well, in this world, some customers might avoid a place because an employee is gay. So why is one illegal to refuse a job and not the other? I can answer that question for you. And I can also say that I do not think that it should be qualified as discrimination for not hiring someone that has weird hair, or different color, or tattoos or piercings. And here's why. Those things are a choice. You do it by choice. You are not born with green or purple hair. You are not born with a tattoo of a skull or a heart or a butterfly or whatever you want to have as your tattoo. You're not born with that. You're not born with gauges in your ears. Now, I had gauges once when I was in high school, and I was expressing myself. But when I got out of high school and I started looking around for a job, I realized that it would be beneficial for my career if I took them out. It didn't change who I was to take them out, and it didn't change who I was when I put them in. But I knew that certain professional fields may not look at it as that's something that they want to have in an employee. Do I think that if they don't hire you because you have tattoos, that it should be discrimination? No. Reason being is because when you go to get a tattoo that there may be jobs that automatically removes you from, or that you may have to wear long sleeve shirts for as long as you have a professional career because you have a tattoo on your arm. I have a buddy that we worked at a cell phone store together, and he wanted to get a tattoo. And I was like, that's awesome, man. That's cool. What kind of tattoo you going to get? I was all for it because I don't care if you have a tattoo. I'm not going to judge you because you have a tattoo, and I'm not going to make fun of you or try to convince you not to. And he decided that he was going to get it on his forearm. And before he got it, I said, hey, man, remember that at this current job, if you get that tattoo on your arm, you're going to have to wear long sleeve shirts, even when it's the middle of summer and it's 100 degrees outside. Beyond that, when you get another job, you may find yourself in the same position where you're going to have to wear a long sleeve shirt. And he said, you know what, that's okay. This is where I want the tattoo. It has a lot of meaning for me, and I want to see it when I look at my arm at any time I do not have a long sleeve shirt on. And I said, hey man, that's cool. So he got it there, and when he went to work, he had long sleeve shirts on. 100-degree weather outside, and he was in a long sleeve shirt, because he made a choice to get a tattoo on his arm and knew that in his professional career, he would not be able to show that tattoo. Not because it was demeaning, degrading, or anything like that. It just wasn't what the owner of the store wanted for the image of the store. That doesn't make the owner a bad person, and I don't think that the government should tell you that you cannot make him cover that up, just because that's discrimination. Now, if somebody wasn't hiring someone because they had a scar or because they had red hair, it would be a different story. I think this is a stupid petition, and I think it would be a stupid law, and I can almost guarantee that it will not pass anytime soon.
History became legend. Legend became myth. And for 2,500 years, the ring passed out of all knowledge.
The highest paid TV actors of 2015. This list of the highest paid TV actors for 2015 measures earnings before subtracting management fees and taxes. The information came from Nielsen, as well as interviews with agents and things like that, because, sometimes it's hard to find out exactly what these people make. So we'll start at the bottom of the list. At number 15 was Kevin Spacey from House of Cards, making $9.5 million. Tie for 13th was Eric Stonestreet of Modern Family and Ed O'Neill of Modern Family at $10.5 million each. Number 12 was Jesse Tyler Ferguson for Modern Family at $11 million. Ty Burrell at $11.5 million from Modern Family. Simon Baker from The Mentalist at $12 million. Patrick Dempsey tied with Simon Baker for 9th from Grey's Anatomy for $12 million. Ray Romano and John Cryer tied at 7th for $15 million. Ray Romano, Everybody Loves Raymond, and John Cryer for Two and a Half Men. I would like to point out that Ray Romano made $15 million in 2015 off of a show that has not been on the air for that has not had new episodes for like a decade. That's the power of true syndication for you right there. People still watch Everybody Loves Raymond so much that Ray Romano made $15 million last year off of it. The third spot is a four-way tie with Ashton Kutcher from Two and a Half Men, Kunal Nayyar from The Big Bang Theory, Simon Helberg from The Big Bang Theory, and Mark Harmon from NCIS, all ranking in $20 million. Number 2 was Johnny Galecki from The Big Bang Theory at $27 million, and number 1 was Jim Parsons from The Big Bang Theory at $29 million. The Big Bang Theory is just huge right now. I mean, I watch it. It's a good show, but they are bleeding money between those four people. They are pumping out $96 million a year. If they have 23 episodes in a season, that's $4,173,913 just for those four actors for an episode. That's just ridiculous. They've gotta be banking on some syndication happening. I mean, I know they get a lot of advertising revenue because it's such a popular show. They can charge more for the ads during that show. They've got to be banking on something like Everybody Loves Raymond, where in 10 years they're still making enough money to pay their actors $15 million that year.
What year is it?
All right, we're about halfway through the show, and so I'm going to play a song, and the song is called Let It Rain, and it is by Alexandra Keller.
This house just isn't a home, and now I'm sitting here all alone. I can try my hardest, try my best, and it still won't take care of the rest of everything that went wrong. Let it rain, let it come down on me, let it wash away my tears, 'cause no matter how hard it pours, you still won't be here. I see you everywhere, always giving cold stares. I want you out of my head. No more tears to shed. I can try my hardest, try my best, and it still won't take care of the rest of everything that went wrong. Let it rain, let it come down on me, let it wash away my tears, 'cause no matter how hard it pours, you still won't be here. I could cry my heart out on the phone, have a face that's made of stone. Either way, I've got the losing hand. Knowing now that I can't win, hoping someday to try again. I'm looking forward and I'm done looking back. Let it rain, let it come down on me.
Again, that song was called Let It Rain, and it was by Alexandra Keller. And of course, like always, I'll have links to all her various sites in the show notes below.
I fart in your general direction. Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelt of elderberries.
This week, Amazon launched a new game engine called Lumberyard, and of course, it's giving it away for free. The company says the software is capable of building AAA games, meaning PC games, console, mobile devices, and even VR platform games. And while the service costs nothing to download and use, Amazon's basically said that it's going to make its money back by selling the various additional web services to developers. So server time, server space, things like that. The engine's deeply integrated with both Amazon Web Services and the company's cloud computing platform, Twitch, which it bought last year for like $900 and some million, which don't get me started on that because that is a ridiculous amount of money. I mean, Amazon they have dump trucks of money just laying around, I swear, because they just buy all this random stuff for whatever reason. Amazon has made it a point to say that the developers don't have to buy server time from them because, it's not really needed for single player games and things like that. But they have said that users cannot use rival cloud services from companies like Google or Microsoft. So they're basically saying we're going to give you this platform for free. We're not saying that you have to use our cloud services, but if you want to attach the game to a server, you can't use Google or Microsoft servers. While I understand Amazon's logic behind it, I don't know. I mean, it's business. They're in it to make money. Let's be honest. Amazon's not just doing all this stuff because, they're philanthropists or anything like that. Like, they have a business model. They need to make money to keep running, and this is how they're going to make that money. So I understand it. And really, it's not even a big deal as long as Amazon doesn't jack their rates up for their servers. And as long as their servers stay going, because the worst thing is you're playing a game, you're really into it, you're grinding, you're whooping up on everybody and you're doing fantastic, and then bam, server's dead. So as long as they don't price gouge the servers and they make sure that they run reliably, then I guess it's all good, but it's still almost monopolistic. But at the same time, it's not really a monopoly, because if you don't want to use Amazon servers, then just don't use Lumberyard to develop your game. Simple as that.
I guess you could say things are getting pretty serious.
Twitter has been going through a lot lately. They've been having a tough time, and even on this show multiple times I've talked about what I think the future of Twitter is going to be and how they're going to recover from their current status. Well, they've done it again, folks. Twitter has decided to change their algorithm for showing tweets. They could start showing their tweets out of order as soon as this week. Since the beginning of Twitter, tweets have been organized in what they call the reverse chronological order, which is basically you see the most recent tweets first, and as you scroll, they get older. In 2014, CFO Anthony Noto said displaying tweets in reverse chronological order isn't the most relevant experience for a user. Now that's kind of confusing for me because I really enjoy viewing my tweets that way. Well, this year's CEO Jack Dorsey is determined to make Twitter more user-friendly and intuitive for people that are just starting out with the service. So what are they doing? Well, they're copying Facebook again. A lot of people are already using Facebook and they're already accustomed to the way that the Facebook feed is, which is a big pile of horse shit, but they want to attract more people. I said it in the last episode referring to Snapchat, but Twitter is feeling the same thing. They want to attract the olds. They want to attract the people that aren't already adopting Twitter, because Twitter is kind of plateaued in their user base. So they need to attract the other people. And to do this, they think that if they just carbon copy Facebook, the people will come in droves. But why do we need two Facebooks? We don't. The whole reason that Twitter even has a user base is because it's different than Facebook. It provides a different service, provides different interaction. If we wanted a second Facebook, we'd just make a second Facebook profile. The algorithm that they're going to use is basically going to reorder your timeline the same way that the while you were away feature reorders your timeline, which I hate that thing too. I just absolutely do not really give a damn about the whole while you were away situation. Essentially, the new algorithm is an expansion on this feature. So if you spend a whole day away from Twitter and you open the app, you're going to see highlights from the day that are sparse and supposedly putting the most relevant information in front of you. If you open the app a few times a day, you're going to see a little bit more of your reverse chronological order, but you're still going to have some relevant tweets placed intermittently. But the nice thing is, if you just go to the top and pull down and refresh on the app or refresh on the browser, or however you decide to do it, it will resume its reverse chronological timeline. So it's basically an opt-out system. So you can say, I don't really want that, so I'm going to refresh and it's going to be back in reverse chronological order. Former Twitter employee Paul Rosanna, who is the project manager for Timeline before he left for Slack, basically said that in a purely chronological feed, tweet quality is distributed randomly. If you miss any tweets, any at all, there will be just as much good stuff in there as there is in what you actually see. Delivering some of that by pushing down something else is guaranteed to give you a better experience, not by principle, just by math. He concluded by saying someday soon the tweets you see will be a little more interesting and the tweets you miss won't be as important, and guess what? You won't even notice. You won't. You think you will, but you won't. I have a problem with this. My problem is that I can't determine that those tweets were not interesting because I didn't see them. I don't want some computer to tell me what I'm guaranteed to find interesting. I'm perfectly fine with a recommended for you type section or a things you might be interested in type section because generally I go to those and look at them and a lot of the time they're right. That doesn't mean that I can't find some diamond in the rough sitting in my Twitter timeline somewhere. With this new algorithm, the computer may think that I wouldn't find it interesting, and then it wouldn't show it to me, and I'd miss out on what possibly could be something I find amazing. The Verge spoke to 2 users who have been testing the new timeline. Neither of them really liked it. One of them said I was starting to get used to it, but I still think it's a terrible idea. It tears conversations apart. It's really confusing when some people have been live tweeting an event and those things get scattered all across my timeline, and it makes it extremely hard to follow events. This destroys one of the core values of Twitter, in my opinion. And he makes possibly the most valid point of this whole conversation. You watch any TV show now, whether it's on cable or Hulu or wherever, and down in the little corner, what is there? Hashtag Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or hashtag Arrow, hashtag The Flash, hashtag whatever. And so you go to Twitter and you tweet with this hashtag and you can follow that hashtag. Now you can still follow hashtags as far as I know, but if you're just scrolling through your feed and you see one thing about it and then you never see another thing again, or 6 days later you're scrolling through your feed and you see hashtag The Arrow. And you're like, what? No, wait, The Arrow was on like 6 days ago. Why am I just seeing this now? It's annoying, and it's one of the biggest things that I hate about Facebook, and it's the reason why I don't use Facebook for more than 10 minutes at a time. I scroll through my Facebook feed for 10 minutes, and I see all of the stuff I saw the last time I was on it. And that's not because there's not a ton of information that my friends on Facebook are posting. It's because the algorithm that Facebook is using isn't showing me everything. So I get bored and I go to a different app, usually Twitter. I'm just going to have to get a new social media. That's all it is. Maybe I'll just strictly move to Instagram before they mess that up. But, I don't know, pictures, that's cool and all, but I need a little more sustenance than Instagram. I don't know. I've just never been big into the Instagram. I think that Twitter's running into the same problem that Spotify's running into. They don't know who they are, they don't know who they want to be, and they don't know who they want to attract. Now, I understand that your goal as a public company with shareholders is to continue to make money, and the best way for a free media platform like Twitter to do that is to attract more users. And while that may be okay, if you change it so dramatically that your solid user base that uses it every day decides to stop using it, you've failed in a different way. You've gained more overall users, but you may end up losing more your monthly, your consistent monthly users. So they need to tread lightly, and they need to find out a business strategy that takes their core users and figures out how to turn those users into money, not necessarily charging, but just a different business strategy that says, okay, this is what we've got. They really like how we operate, and they like that we're different from Facebook, and we are going to use this strategy to monetize that a little more than we have before. More promoted tweets. I mean, they sell ads, but I don't know how well it works, but not too long ago, you could click on a little, Amazon could post something or whatever, and you could click on it and buy it. And I think you can still do that. I've honestly never even seen a tweet like that. And I'm on Twitter all the time. So maybe they just need to ramp up some of their other efforts.
When I see a car like this, first thing I do is I say, would you look at this?
Super Bowl 50. The Super Bowl was last week. And you've heard tons and tons and tons and tons about the Super Bowl. But I'm going to give you my list of the top 5 commercials and the 5 worst commercials that I thought were in the Super Bowl. One of my favorite commercials was the Butterfinger Bull Rider commercial where he rides the bull out of the plane and it's talking about being dangerous and being a rebel and stuff like that. I thought that one was really funny, and I laughed. I literally laughed out loud for that one. So I got a lot of enjoyment out of it. Another one of my favorites was the TurboTax commercial with Anthony Hopkins titled Never Sell Out. And it had Anthony Hopkins and he's like, I would never sell out. And then he takes a drink of his tea and on the other side of the teacup says TurboTax.com. And he named his dog TurboTax.com. And I just thought that was really funny. The T-Mobile commercial with Steve Harvey, where he made fun of himself when he misspoke at the Miss Universe pageant and named the wrong winner. Well, they basically played on that, where he was talking about results of the, like the data service results and stuff for the different groups that study that and compare all of the mobile carriers on it. And then he was like, oh no, that's what's on the card, but I'm wrong. And he's like, it wasn't me this time, it was Verizon. And I just thought that was really funny too. I like that Steve Harvey can poke fun at himself so quickly, really. And I think it takes a lot of the severity off of the situation and kind of makes it like, okay, yes, we made a mistake, but let's just laugh about it and move on with life. And I think that that's a good example for a lot of things that happen in showbiz and different things like that. The Squarespace ad with Key and Peele on it was freaking hilarious. I loved it. I love those guys. I'm looking forward to the movie that they're getting ready to come out with. I love their show. I just really love everything that they're doing right now, and that commercial was nothing different. I have a feeling that they had a little bit of a hand in writing that commercial. Squarespace probably just called them and was like, hey, we want to put you guys in a commercial. This is how much money we want to spend. This is how much money we're giving you. Make something great for us. We want to put it on the Super Bowl. And I mean, they did their whole like Super Bowl commentary thing, and it was a play off of that. But it was all around a good, funny commercial. Rounding out my top 5 commercials was the Dorito ultrasound commercial. The lady's in the doctor's office getting ready, having an ultrasound. She's pretty dang pregnant, like pretty much about to pop pregnant, and the dad has Doritos, and like when he holds the Dorito up by the stomach, you see the kid on the ultrasound like reaching for the Dorito, and he keeps doing it because he thinks it's funny, and the mom's like in pain, and finally she gets mad and she grabs a Dorito and she throws it across the room, and then the baby stops moving for a second, and then the baby flies out to go grab the Dorito. And Dorito they do it every year. They make good Super Bowl commercials. I've got a couple honorable mentions for the good Super Bowl commercials. Axe had a really good one. It was the Your Thing commercial. Had the guy start out with the goofy kind of looking guy with the big nose, and it was like, who needs whatever when you have the nose? And then it went to another person that said, who needs the nose when you have the beard, and blah blah blah. And I just thought it was a really good commercial because it kind of spoke to everybody has their thing, and who needs someone else's thing when you have your thing. And I really liked it. It's branched out from a lot of Axe's older commercials that were kind of just stupid and self-consumed and just didn't promote being who you are. It promoted being somebody else, and so I really liked that commercial. Also, the Intuit Death Wish coffee commercial. I liked this one so much because, one, it was a pretty cool commercial. Anything with like Viking style is going to automatically interest me. But on top of that, Intuit took a small business that could never afford the $5 million for a 30-second commercial and helped them make a commercial. Yeah, they put their name on it, but who cares? They also made a commercial for this little known company called Death Wish Coffee. I just hope that it works out for Death Wish Coffee. And the last one on my honorable mentions list is the Audi the Commander commercial. This was an all-around good commercial. It had a dad that looked like he was, kind of depressed and like he wanted to be back in his younger days. You kind of start getting older and you look back on and you're just like, oh man, I wish I could be young again. And the son notices, so he gives his dad the car keys and he gets in the car and he drives away and he starts feeling like he's young again, and it just kind of revitalizes him. And I thought that was really cool. And all along in the commercial, David Bowie's Starman is playing in the background. And at the very end, it says at the bottom, in memory of the Starman. I thought that was amazing, and I really liked it. My 5 worst commercials were Budweiser not backing down. They really blew it this year. I mean, Budweiser has always been famous for their Super Bowl commercials and their Clydesdales and things like that. They barely had the Clydesdale in it, and the commercial didn't speak to me. I didn't find it enjoyable, and honestly, it wasn't memorable. I mean, I can still remember the Budweiser commercial from last year and how much I enjoyed it, but this year, it was just a letdown. The Rocket Mortgage commercial was also horrible. And one of my least favorite was The Longest Chase. That one was the one with the bank robbers running out of the bank and they steal a Prius. Well, I guess they don't steal it. They buy it. And then they go through this whole cop chase over the highway and all these different places in a freaking Prius. It was a stupid commercial, and I did not like it at all. Number 4 on my list is Arnold's Fight Mobile Strike. That just was... Okay, look, it's amazing that these mobile games that are free to play and just make all their money on the backside from charging you for a bunch of crap make enough money to pay for a $5 million commercial, but it was just a bad commercial. Like, it wasn't the mobile gaming commercials are never good. They never get me to want to go play the game. I'm honestly not sure why they keep having the big commercials. If people are going to play that game, they're probably not going to discover it on a TV commercial. They're probably going to discover it some other way. I'd be curious to see how many installs they gained after that commercial aired, just to kind of see if it was even worth the $5 million. And by far, my least favorite commercial of the Super Bowl was Puppy Monkey Baby, the Mountain Dew commercial. It was weird, creepy, disturbing. I just did not like it. I actually liked Mountain Dew's commercial last year where like they had the people dancing and stuff and they had like the fish dancing or whatever. But this one, they were trying to do it again. They did not do a good job. I also read that the marketing company that worked with Mountain Dew to make it did some research and found that the 3 most popular types of Super Bowl commercials have a puppy in it, a monkey in it, or a baby in it. And so they were trying to make a commercial that had all 3, but instead of just like having a puppy running to a baby holding a monkey or some crap, they had a weird horror movie puppy monkey baby hybrid would probably see in like Human Centipede or something doll. Like just weird. I also want to note that pretty much every movie commercial that aired during the Super Bowl was great, and I really just can't wait to see all the movies. I just want to watch all the movies all the time, all the movies.
Some avocado.
All right, and it is time for an app review. The app I'm reviewing today is called Angry Bird Pop. And basically what this is it's a bubble shooter game with an Angry Bird skin on top. But for some reason, it's really addicting. It's really fun to play. You basically, traditional bubble pop style. So you just, got to match 3 or more of whatever color and then they break apart or disappear or fall or whatever. There's different ways to score points. You get different streaks, different rewards for streaks, like special kinds of balls that'll shoot and turn into a color or turn other balls into their color or whatever. And it's got kind of a story mode. You got to go through the different levels. Now, the only thing that I have to say about the game is it falls into that whole free-to-play trap where you only have 5 lives, and if you want special power-ups, you have to buy them and different things like that. You run out of lives, you got to buy them, or connect to Facebook and get friends to give you stuff and things like that. But, every game nowadays has that, so it's just something we have to deal with. But overall, it's still a pretty fun game. Check it out if you're into that type of thing.
The Force will be with you, always.
I do want to remind you, dear listeners, that the listener special for the half-anniversary of the show is next week, but never fear. You still have time to submit your questions to me via Twitter at JohnnyM_Revo, through Facebook at facebook.com/JustJohnPodcast, or you can email me at justjohnpodcast@gmail.com. Also want to remind you that if you find some value in the show and you want to support the show, you can find out how at patreon.com/JFMEDINA2010. If you enjoyed the show, please show me some love by liking, thumbs up, subscribing, sharing, rating, reviewing, retweeting, or whatever it is that's used to symbolize the love of the show on the platform you're using to view it. You can follow me on Twitter at JohnnyM_Revo and at Facebook.com/JustJohnPodcast. You can find the show at JustJohnPodcast.com, and you can listen to the show on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, and Spreaker, or some other shit. You can email me with questions, comments, concerns at JustJohnPodcast@gmail.com. And remember, without you, I'm just some dude talking to himself on the internet. Until next time, peace out, fam.